Before I begin, I want to thank you all for giving me this opportunity to offer my perspectives on a topic that I'm still grasping to comprehend. Love and self-realization. Both these are concepts which is a learning, I guess, across lifetimes. So bear with me if I sound incomplete. It's how it is. When I talk about these concepts, I usually begin and continue in the thought process of how it has appealed to me, how I have perceived it, and how I continue to practice it in my everyday life. You wouldn't see me quote verbatim from Swami's Vahinis or Swami's discourses or Baba's teachings in general, because those are available for every one of us to ponder. And I don't want it to sound dogmatic when I take a quote and say this is what he meant, because none of us know what exactly he meant. That's a lifetime study of his quotes, of his discourses. I leave that to your own personal sadhana. So what you'll hear from me is my interpretations, and I want you to take that with a pinch of salt, because it is the way I have understood these concepts and the way I relate to them. Because I think what we need today is a deeper understanding of how we can actually implement it. So the more we listen to people who are on this path, the more we share perspectives which are down to earth, which some of them make sense, some of them may not make sense. We may not be able to comprehend all of that in one session or in one lecture, I guess. And that's perfectly okay. So it is okay for you to disagree with me. It's okay for you not to see eye to eye with some of these concepts. I don't think that's going to happen in general, because we are all bound together in the broad umbrella of Sai teachings, which is predominantly based on love and openness. So I invite you to this session to come with an open mind and just let the information go in. Then take time to contemplate and if you will, weed out things that you don't at this point understand and say, all right, I'm going to let this concept rest for now. That's how I do. If I don't get something, I'll say, all right, instead of rejecting it outright and blocking my mind to it, I'll say, this is something I've not understood, so I'm going to let it rest for now. Perhaps X and Y and Z, I have understood it well, but somehow I'm not able to relate it from where I come from based on my background, my culture, my understanding, and therefore I'm going to rest this for now. But this is something I can relate to, so this is what I'm going to practice. And so it's perfectly okay. So with those kind of things and a couple of those disclaimers that I said about love and self-realization, I never claim that I'm anywhere close to this, and you'll see why. One of the things I loved about this topic that you are all engaged in, the sadhana of love, especially connecting it to self-realization. So first of all, a shout out to those of you and perhaps all of you for even considering this wonderful combination, because invariably love is seen as something which is to do with the emotions and be kind to others, and there is in love there is duality. In love there is generally, right, the way we understand love as you need another person to love, you need a community to share your love with, and so on, and so that is somehow not generally seen eye to eye with a grand concept such as self-realization, which is all about the self. So kudos to all of you to have brought this unique combination. I was very surprised when I saw the topic, pleasantly surprised. And so let's see how I can do justice to a topic that you have already studied in depth in all these weeks in as part of your group discussions and so on. What the essence of Baba's teachings and what I learned from him at his feet, growing and spending my whole youth at his feet, literally, was that love is the essence of everything. Put aside self-realization for now, if that sounds a topic too far to comprehend, you're scratching your head and you're like, wow, that's something I don't know anything about. But you and I can relate to love. And that's not just the first step towards self-realization. That is the very essence of self-realization. We begin with love, we continue in love, we end in love. We begin with love as a feeling of emotion, a feeling of the heart. We see others and we offer ourselves in love, which is something which you and I can all understand. And then it becomes an embracing of interconnectedness that you feel not just with people, but then with the elements, right? You see, and you learn to see as the earth, the trees, and the waters as an extension of us, of me, of I. What is global warming all about, right? It's about us thinking that we are isolated and different from the planet that we are living in, and the cosmos in general, including the 9 planets and the sun and all of that. So we don't see ourselves generally as an integral part of this, as products of this. You and I cannot survive if a distant planet like Saturn disappears from the horizon, God forbid. The whole cosmos will go into chaos. That's how closely related we are. That's how integrated we are. And so that understanding of love begins to grow, and then you will see that the trees and the rivers in this planet is an extension of me. I am an extension of the earth. The physical body, the muscles, the bones, the hair and the nails, not much of hair left in me, but whatever is there is all connected to the element earth. It's not different. That's matter. The liquids in my body, which is 2/3 of my body is with liquids, and all that is connected with the waters of the earth. The warmth I feel in my stomach, like the digestive juices that we say during the food prayer, aham vaishvanaro bhutva, I reside as the digestive fire, says Krishna. So that consciousness that exists in, or the element of fire that exists in my stomach, or the light that shines in my eyes, in your eyes, it comes from the sun. So we are connected. So in that is that understanding of that connection. Pardon me if I speak a little louder than normal, but these things inspire me so much. I truly believe them, so I might sound a little excited. This connection, this understanding of this connection, not intellectually, but at an emotional level, at the very fiber of your being, begins to feel that connection, that nature is not separate from me. So your heart pains when you see a tree being cut down, or an animal slaughtered for simply no reason, right? And things like that. So that is an embracing of love at a different level. So now we progress from the concept of being nice to people, be nice to your parents, and speak softly and speak sweetly and speak obligingly and all of that, to a deeper understanding of, wait a minute, if I hurt someone, I'm actually hurting myself. So if I hurt a tree, I'm hurting myself. If I pollute a river, I'm polluting myself. The liquids in my body gets eventually polluted, right? It's a long cycle. It may not be there today, but that's what's happening with global warming. We have consistently ignored this embracing in love of this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful planet in which you and I are living. And we have segregated ourselves not only from, or isolated ourselves not only from the planet, we have isolated ourselves from each other. We believe in division, we believe in institutionalizing everything, including avatars and great teachers, including Sai Baba, for example. Swami said this, do this. Swami said that, do that. So we try to get into a dogmatic understanding, and we feel, oh gosh, what do I do here? Is this right? Is this wrong? And then that leads to confusion, division, and that's it. We carry on like that. All of that is an absence of this divine word, love, or prema. But when you begin to to embrace the concept, the understanding that I am not separate from someone else, I am not separate from the elements. Well, in a practical sense, yes, but then at a deeper level, at the level of consciousness, at the level of life force, if you will, or pranic energies, if you will, then the same prana flows into the tree, the same prana is in the river, the same life force that sustains the earth and the planets around the earth and the cosmos and the stars and the galaxies, that same life force exists in me, exists in the person I love the most, in the person I quote unquote don't or dislike the most. And that understanding will slowly get all of that, the dislike and the differences away, and we begin to accept each other. We can still be, we don't have to agree with everyone just because we have the umbrella of love, but then in that disagreement, we begin to accept. We say, all right, it's your opinion, I value your opinion, but that opinion is not mine. That doesn't come in the way of my being able to love. I will still treat a snake as a snake, a lion as a lion. And that is the way it is. I will still treat a knife as a knife. I can't say, oh, this knife is so beautiful, let me kiss it and hurt myself, right? Something silly like that. So love doesn't mean you break rules of nature. Love is acceptance of nature as it exists. Love is acceptance of all people as they are. Love is respect, born out of that understanding that we are all connected. And therein lies the next stage. So from love as me versus somebody else, me loving somebody else, now we have progressed to a love of understanding of interconnectedness. And from there, we progress to that Vedantic truth. Not intellectually necessarily, but this progress is more of a true awareness that comes with you. The more intently you begin to believe in these concepts, the more intently you allow that belief to express itself through you in your everyday life, because that's important. Otherwise, just belief becomes, like food becomes rotten, that belief just rots away in the depths of our consciousness. So we got to allow that to find expression in everyday life. When that belief finds its way into expressions in our thoughts, in our words, in our deeds, there where we begin to express that interconnectedness. We say no cutting trees, no polluting rivers, no polluting the earth, no plastic, and things like that. Then that understanding becomes an experience, right? And that leads you to the Vedantic truth, the truth in which Sanatana Dharma is placed, in the truth that is behind all religions. And that truth is oneness. Oneness. And that's it. So from that oneness is, there is only one. You and I are not just interconnected. You and I are one. You and I are one. So let's hold that concept for now. That kind of concept is very difficult to comprehend intellectually, because the mind, you can't logically arrive at that. But we can at least deal with the area where we feel that interconnection and so on. All right, so having set that basis, let me see how we can proceed in this path. So first of all, you perhaps have already discussed this, I don't know. What is self-realization? What is it? Well, the word itself is kind of self-explanatory, I guess. You realize about yourself. Realize what about myself? Well, something. I get to realize I am this, that, whatever. So it kind of explains. I also use another term, self-actualization, if self-realization is too difficult a word to comprehend, but these are just English words. The Sanskrit term is Atma-jnana. Atma-jnana is the wisdom of the self. So how does Baba explain this? And I have not found any better explanation of this anywhere else. And in one term that I'm going to introduce here to you, it may be familiar, it may not be. In that one term, he encompasses the entire teachings of the Vedas, the Upanishads, and everything that you can muster over your lifetime. And that term is this: constant, integrated awareness. What is self-realization? It is constant, integrated awareness. I use this term to explain what is yoga as well, because yoga is union, yoga is oneness, right? So I won't diversify, but I use that same concept. This is one of my dearest concepts: constant, integrated awareness. Write this down, put it on your refrigerator or on your wall, or tattoo it on your forehead. I'm just kidding. So constant, integrated awareness. Now you might say, wait, awareness of what? Integrated of what? What is constant here? So all those questions come up, right? I spend weeks, months, and perhaps years, and I'm still comprehending this wonderful concept. But let me briefly give you an idea of my thinking of this essential teaching of Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba. Constant. So whatever this awareness is, and we'll come to that, the awareness has to be or will become eventually, but it's important for this definition to be fulfilled. It is important that this awareness is constant. So it doesn't come like a hiccup, just comes and goes once in a while. It is a constant awareness. So this part is clear, though this part is still unclear. Constant. It's like Baba would, very jokingly say this, but it had a great depth. He would say, butter melts easily with a little bit of flame. But even that, to melt butter, you need to have that flame lit for a while. You just can't lit it for a second and expect a butter to melt, and then you keep it lighting it off and on and off and on, just a spark here and a spark there. Doesn't melt even butter, which otherwise can melt so easily. It has to be constant. Whatever the effort is, it is constant, right? Many of you have so many fantastic skills, but you know that when there is constancy in your practice, when there is continuity in your practice, the talent improves or the knowledge becomes better. So the importance of constant is there. All right. Then comes an integrated. This is the key here, integrated. Integrated, what does that mean? All right. When was the last time you sat on your dining table or you took your food to your room, whatever you do? What was the last time you looked at your plate with your food on it and thought, wow, I wonder how this affects my thinking 72 hours from now? Perhaps a long time, perhaps never. Because why? We are caught up in the physicality of the food, the color, the taste, and so on. And very rarely we connect the food that I'm going to eat is somehow going to influence my thought, right? We don't see that connection. And that is what I mean by living in the idea of isolating. We kind of create walls. Oh, this is eating, it's nothing to do with this. This is exercise. This is something physical, not spiritual. This is watching TV. Oh, this is all materialism, it's not spiritual. We create those barriers where? In the head. We created it, right? We create all those barriers and then we live. So we talk of food and we say this is nothing connected with my thinking, right? We don't see the connection. But the body and the mind and of course the spirit are not watertight compartments. I don't need to explain this further because after a great deal in the last 25 years, a lot of progress in science has been made and they begin to understand the close relation between body and mind, right? Ever since World War II, when medicine began to evolve, they were just focusing on the body, putting off fires of every illnesses, all experiments. Then slowly they realized that's not helping. There is something else. And so they realize stress is causing a lot of ailments. Now where is stress? Stress is up here, right? And that's causing the ailments. And therefore now mind-body medicine is gaining more and more and more grounds. And there will be a time when mental illnesses will also be given enough importance, because that becomes a cause. There is one step further, which is spiritual ignorance is actually the cause for all of this. But we'll give it time for science to catch up. Maybe in your generation, maybe some of you can take this up and link all the three. Anyway, integration is mind, body, and spirit are not watertight compartments, but they are one. Ask any psychologist or psychiatrist, where is the mind in the body? Where is it? If they tell you here, tell them, but this is the brain. Where is the mind? There would be no real good answer, because the mind is not local, it's non-local. It is everywhere in the body. And in fact, it's outside too. I don't have time to go into details of this at this point, but understand mind is not localized in one part of your body. Right? True, when you are upset about something, you hold your head because your brain gets heated up. There is a link between the mind and the brain, but the mind is not inside the brain. Consciousness is not inside the brain. Brain is merely a transmitting point for all these thoughts and all of that. That's where everything gets generated, reformed, restructured, and converted into chemicals and transferred into your body, hormones and so on. All right. So the understanding here is my body, my mind, and my spirit are one. So what I do in my body is a reflection of what is going on in the mind. What I do in my mind is a reflection of the depth of the awakening of my spirit. So if the spirit is not awakened, the mind is not able to reflect that. If my spirit comes from, or when I say spirit now, let's talk about that for a second here, or a few seconds. Spirit is a bunch of core beliefs that you hold in the depths of your heart. Nobody can go there except you, right? You and I can say Sai Ram in front of everyone and say, oh yeah. But inside, in the depth of my heart, what does that mean to me? Only you know, only I know, right? That. And what do I think of myself? What do I look into the mirror when I wake up first thing in the morning and go to brush my teeth or comb my hair? What is it that I see? What is the reflection I see? Is the reflection that I see comes from that core belief, right? And that core belief, at this point, let's call that the spirit, because that's a reflection of the spirit there. And that core belief reflects in your mind in the form of thinking. And that mind eventually determines the physicality. And that's pretty much it. That integration is what we need to be aware of. Aware of what? Aware of that integration of the body, mind, and spirit. And that integration has to be constant. That's why I started with food on the table. So that constant awareness of the integration of the mind, body, and the spirit then work becomes worship. There is nothing that is spiritual or materialistic or something. Everything is spiritual if I am aware of that integration. In other words, mindful. If I become mindful of my actions, if I become mindful of my thoughts and words, simply because I am aware that what I speak is a reflection of what's in my mind, and my mind is reflecting what is my core belief, then I begin to introspect every word I speak. If my actions and my body is a reflection of what is going on up here, then I begin to correct my body. Well, exercise and other things and eating and diet and all of that is one side. But then I also have to correct here, because the body is a combination of these two. So this is the essence of self-realization. What else is? This awareness, when it becomes more and more integrated, with this awareness, when it is burning constantly, when you become an instrument where this awareness simply flows through you at all times, ideally, then you begin to grasp the idea of self-realization. Because in that awareness, you begin to expand the definition of who you think you are. Many of you are familiar with Baba's teachings. One of his beautiful quotes is, I am not one but three, he says. Quotes for that, I am not one is like, you can say that, I can say that. So he uses this quote. Well, he has made this quote, obviously, he owns it. I am not one but three, quoting Baba. The one I think I am, the one I think I am, core belief. The one others think I am, my interaction with others, my mind. The one I really am, the one I really am. That is the spirit. And that one I really am begins to influence the core belief system. And when that core, innermost core belief begins to work its way out, then if you want to enrich your life, then go deep inside and work in that core belief system. You cannot lie to that core belief system. It's who you think you are at that point. And when who you think you are and who you really are, this dichotomy slowly merges and becomes one. You are getting closer and closer to understanding self-realization. All right. Is self-realization a religion? You know the answer, no, of course not. It's not a religion. The concept of self-realization is very very active and very evident in certain religions, like the Hindu religion, the Sanatana Dharma, the Vedanta teaches that. But inherent in all the religions, in the teaching of the Bible, where Christ says the kingdom of God is within, I think it's Saint John, he's indicating to this concept that the kingdom of God is not here or there, but it is within. Okay, so it is just giving you an idea. So here, the omnipresence of God, the omnipresence of spirit that religions talk about is actually leading everyone to that understanding. It's a different matter that we stick to a religious belief and say, no, God is there, I am a poor fellow, Baba will take care of self-realization, I am just going to be like this. And we create all that drama and we refuse to open our minds. But I'm not talking to old people here, right? An old person is talking to a bunch of youngsters, and therefore I know you have far more deeper understanding than I do, than most of us do. This idea that can never be confined to the religion, because spirit is universal. Our interconnectedness with human beings, with the world, and all the elements like I spoke about earlier, is going beyond a particular religion. So self-realization is more spiritual than religion. Is it a journey or is it a destination? When we talk of a destination, right, you say, okay, all right, we got a weekend coming up, this is where we want to go. Let's say we want to go to Disneyland, and then you undertake a journey, you reach Disneyland and you have fun. So you've reached a destination. So it makes sense when it is a geographical place that you have to reach. It's a destination when you have a particular set goal, like you have a degree to earn or a job to acquire or a particular position in a company that you want to reach. All of that are fixed destinations. Those are things you can relate to. Talents, you want to reach this particular level in a particular talent or whatever, you know that those are tangible. But self-realization, let me put it here, it's like kind of a riddle, is both a journey and a destination. In fact, the journey becomes a destination. Constant integrated awareness, is that a journey or is that a destination? You tell me. The moment I say destination, then it seems like if I limit the concept to a destination or a goal to achieve, and one day I say, hey guys, I am self-realized, then I've closed my doors to integrated constant awareness. That awareness of the self, once you begin to understand, and that self is infinite in nature because it embraces all the elements, it embraces everyone, it embraces the universe, it goes beyond time and space. Wait a minute, what is that called again? Brahman. Brahman means infinite. The word Brahma means infinite. The reason why they use that word was to give you a chance to say this is beyond what my mind can comprehend. Why is that? The mind can only deal with data from the senses. Anything beyond that, we go to sleep. It's impossible for the mind to comprehend, right? It's two different things. That's why in meditation we try to quieten the mind, and many of us fail. We go to sleep because that's the next best thing the mind knows. If no senses, no data, I'm going to sleep, right? So that spirit being infinite, when that awareness comes and that affects your core belief, and that core belief translates itself into thoughts, words, and actions, that understanding of infinity never ends. That learning never ends. That expansion never ends. Why does it never end? Because it's infinite. That's the whole idea of being infinite. So it cannot be a set destination or a goal or a status symbol that, are you self-realized? Oh, wow, congrats. I'm getting there. Someday I will get self-realized. So because we consider it as a goal or a destination, we postpone it. Someday in the future, we will all get self-realized. Someday, and we postpone it as something like it's afterlife. Oh, he is dead. He'll never be born again. He has attained Baba's feet. He'll never come back again. As if we even know what all that means, right? We tend to get into this dramatic idea of self-realization being something big to be achieved, something comes later in life, and something, God forbid, is in the afterlife. Nirvana is in the afterlife. Liberation is in the afterlife. All of that is, in my opinion, very false. Otherwise, Baba would not have taught us. He would have said, I will take care of you after your life. After your life is over, just do what I say. The concept here is self-realization is a greater understanding of the self and living a life which is self-empowered, self-enriched, and growing, continuously growing in that prosperity, in that abundance, in that growth of that understanding that everything is a part of me, I am part of everything, and that learning never ends, should never end, and it continues. So it's both a journey and a destination. How do we equip ourselves to self-realization? All right, I'm really running against time, so let's see. I'm bad at time management. I have 10 minutes, but I would love to do more justice to this. Let me put it all out there. All right. This is how you equip yourself for self-realization. You've probably discussed these concepts already. So let me offer like a blind man offering his own perspectives of what this elephant looks like. The three components to equip yourself in this journey or destination, however you want to call it. I like to call it a journey, and being in the journey is my destination. My destination is to be constantly aware of my integration, and my sadhana and all my practices is to be in that constant integrated awareness. That's it. And anytime I find my words not reflecting that, anytime I find my actions not reflecting that, and there are many instances, then I correct myself and I go back to being in that constant integrated awareness state. So the foundation, I put it as a triangle, though Baba explains as foundation of a home and the walls and the roof and so on. I like it as a triangle. The base or the tip of the triangle in this case is inverted because it's facing me, and that means facing me is going deep inside, and deep inside self-confidence forms the basis. Without this, the self cannot be understood. This self-confidence, where does it come from? What are the tips for self-confidence? What are the steps towards self-confidence? And if you Google that, you know how it is. There's so much out there. But I would like to draw your attention. I want you to open your mind to a much deeper understanding of the self. If I think I am Sunder, I'm 5 feet 5 inches, I come from India, and I'm 60 years old, and I'm doing this and I'm doing that, I know X number of languages, I don't know to do this, I know to do this, I don't like this, I like this. I have come with a definition, or I have evolved to a very beautiful definition of who I think I am. If that is a self, I I'm basing myself, my understanding from, and trying to build confidence, then if I'm in Germany and if I have to speak German, my confidence is shaken. I'm like, wow, I have no clue. I mean, all these people are speaking German to me. How do I survive? What do I do? Or if I'm in a presence which I've never been before, I will be dumbstruck. I won't know how to interact, because I have defined myself that this is who I am, this is what I like and don't like, this is what I can do and cannot do, and therefore any stepping outside that is like stepping outside a comfort zone, and life comes to a standstill. Literally, I was like, wow, I don't know. So I run back to my comfort zone, my friend circle, my TV shows, my books, and say, oh, this is what it is, right? But self-confidence doesn't come from that. Self-confidence is the ability to step anywhere, anytime, be in any place, and not let fear guide your thoughts and words and deeds. It comes from an acceptance of yourself the way you are, with the understanding that I can learn anything at any point. Why? Because the I in me that is where the core belief comes from. The I in me is forever expandable. It is plasticity, as they call it. They just discovered brain plasticity. That's just one fraction of the I plasticity. The I plasticity is you can define whatever you think you are, and you become that. Yad bhavam tad bhavati. What you think, you become. I think it was the owner of General Foods, I'm not sure, General Motors, or Ford, I'm not sure. He said, if you think you're wrong, you're right. If you think you're right, or something like that. Because what you think is what it is. If I think I'm small, yeah, guess what? You are small. If you think you're big, guess what? You're big. If you think you are infinite, guess what? You are infinite. If you think you're capable of anything and everything, you are that. What you think. And by thinking, I'm not talking about positive thinking kind of thing. I'm talking to you about that core belief. So we have to get that into our core belief system. That is what this is all about. From that well of that reservoir of that infinite idea of the infinite self, if I begin to draw inspiration from, that I come from that infinite self, a part of me is infinite in its capacity to grow, to learn, to give. I have the key to abundance and prosperity. I have the key to open that closed door within me. And if I have that deep confidence, that's all it matters. Everything else in life has a beautiful way of ironing itself out. Thorns don't go out of the path, the rains don't stop, the storm doesn't cease, but you will know how to deal with life, because in times of turbulence, in times of trials, in times of tests, you will go back to that source. Self-satisfaction. Because you have the key to abundance and prosperity within you, then you will automatically achieve a state of contentment and satisfaction. There will not be, rather, a feeling of I want this, I wish I had a little more height, I wish I was a little more fairer, or I wish I was a little more popular, I wish I was a little more talented, I wish my parents were like this, I wish I had a car like that. The I wish and I want and that kind of thing comes from the lack of understanding of the self. That comes from a poor definition of who I think I am. That core belief is what is causing all this. I wish I did this, I wish I did that. But that is why I put it right here, deep inside you, the triangle is facing you, so deep inside. In yoga terms, I call it the Mooladhara, the base of the spine that holds the deepest memories and all experiences across lifetimes. If we can go there and work on this, then satisfaction, contentment comes. Contentment doesn't mean you will stop growing. Please don't misunderstand that. That's a whole different topic. Contentment actually helps you grow further, not from the place of wanting, but from the place of enriching yourself. Comes self-sacrifice. Then you will begin to give. Self-sacrifice is what? You're not sacrificing yourself, you're not losing something. The word sacrifice is an English term, but the word tyaga is a very beautiful thing. in Sanskrit. The meaning is you are so rich that you begin to give. You begin to give. One of the most beautiful lessons I learned from Sai Baba is the ability to give. He gave everything. You might ask what? Everything he gave. He learned he exploited the magic of giving. He taught us through his own actions the magic of giving, because when you give, you become like a river, in his own words, and I'm not quoting him, it's more from one of his teachings. It's a river, it flows. The more it flows, the more the water comes. And you become a river that is continuously flowing, rather than a well that says, oh, no, first let me get, then I will give. The habit of getting becomes more important, and you spend your entire life getting, waiting to give. Because that's how you trained your mind. First let me get, then I will give. But how much should I get? So the mind becomes addicted to getting, and the idea of giving becomes once in a while. Or if I give something, I need a tax exemption, I need a recognition. I gave so much and this guy never accepted it, acknowledged it, and so on and so forth. Self-sacrifice comes when there is contentment, peace. Everything emanates from me, this universe, and therefore I have nothing. I want to enrich your life. I want to help you. Tell me how I can help you. There is something unique in each one of us that we can bring forth into this earth. We don't have to be like someone else. That wanting to be like someone else, wanting to be rich like someone else, or famous like someone else, or good looking like someone else, all comes from a lack of the understanding of the self. But if I can capitalize on my uniqueness, if I look into the mirror and say, guess what? There is no one like me in this world, in this planet, and that's good enough to begin with. Let's leave other dimensions and universe aside. Just in this planet, 1 in 7 trillion. If somebody says you're 1 in a million, say, sorry, I'm 1 in 7+ trillion. Because that's what you are. Imagine, there is no one else like you. So why not capitalize on that? That is exactly what Baba did. I'll perhaps touch that on the second session that I have. But so get to see that. You may not be there live, but I'm sure they are recording it, so you'll get to see the second session. I'll touch upon how Baba was an embodiment of this. But this is to give you an idea of how you begin to give, and the more you give, the more yourself becomes to get confident. Listen, hey, guess what? In giving, I'm actually empowering myself. I'm becoming more richer. And therefore, that leads you to more contentment, and it sets a beautiful cycle of constant integrated awareness, and that becomes your foundation from which you can unconditionally love with no expectations. And that love, my dear brothers, sisters, will be a reflection of that interconnectedness. Love not as an emotion, but love as a reflection of that wisdom that begins to dawn deep in your unconscious and subconscious mind, deep in the very fiber of your being, that begins to redefine your core belief. That wisdom begins to express itself in love. That is the power of love. That love heals not only you, that power, that energy that flows through your thoughts, through your words and deeds, in your very presence, you will become an instrument of peace. Where there is hatred, you will sow love. Where there is injury, you will pardon. You will not seek to be consoled as much as you will seek out to console. This is the prayer of Saint Francis of Assisi. You will not seek to be pardoned as much as you will seek out to pardon. You will not seek to be loved as much as you will seek out to love. It is in that dying that you are born to eternal life. It is in that giving up Jesus became the Christ. It is in that understanding the little Satya became Sai Baba. All of these are stories for you and I to emulate. So don't please put away Baba's picture in an altar and think he is God and you are somehow human. He's come to remind you and me that through constant integrated awareness of the integration of the mind, body and spirit, we can become as powerful as he, as divine as he, and we can live with that awareness. We can live our everyday life. All right, what after self-realization? Okay, assuming I got this constant, okay, I got it under my belt, constant integrated awareness. All right, so what it is? I want to end that with a Zen quote. Before the study of Zen, I'll get his name at the end. I can't pronounce it, so I don't want to mispronounce somebody's name. Before the study of Zen, he says, mountains are mountains, rivers are rivers, right? Hey, this is black and white, this is the world, this is you, this is me, everything is clear, so everybody's happy. During the study of Zen, during the process of self-realization, during what we call the sadhana of love, in this process of transformation, where the caterpillar is breaking forth into the butterfly, mountains are no longer mountains, rivers are no longer rivers. We're like, wait a minute, I feel connected. Why do I feel somebody else's pain so much? Why do I feel happy when I see a child smiling? Where is that connection? What is that? What is it? I know we call it empathy, but what is that empathy? How does it even come, right? And so we suddenly begin to understand that connection. Mountains are no longer mountains, rivers are no longer rivers. What I believed earlier doesn't hold any good anymore. And then comes self-realization. Or he says, after the study of Zen. After the study of Zen, mountains are still mountains, rivers are still rivers. But what a difference. Here, you are in the kindergarten class, learning A for apple, B for bat, C for cat, learning the alphabets. Here, you go back to the kindergarten class, but this time as a teacher. You will also be saying A for apple, B for bat, C for cat. But you will be as a teacher. In other words, things will come back to being the same. Life is the same. Situations will be the same. Don't expect miracles to happen. That is, you will understand the law behind these miracles. Turbulence, storms in life, ups and downs, death, separations, losses, all of that will happen. But then you will be like the teacher in the kindergarten class. You will be like the producer of the movie, the director of the movie. It could be a horror movie, but this time, instead of watching it and being scared, you are directing it. You will be the one directing the movie of your life. You will know that what is happening is only a part of what I am. You will learn to accept it. You will learn to master the situations. You will learn to take wise decisions. You will learn to be non-judgmental. Mountains will still be mountains. Rivers are still rivers. Here's that great person who quoted this. Quinn Guan, I believe. Like I said, I don't want to mispronounce. I hope it's clear on your screen. So thank you all. Before we end, I just want to take 3-4 minutes to quieten our mind and kind of see what we can understand from this. So, however you are, hopefully you're seated and not lying down. If you can, sit up straight, comfortably. If you're on your bed, just prop a couple of pillows and make sure the spine is straight, because the spinal cord represents alertness. And so if you're crouched like this and say, all right, I can meditate, it's not going to work. Like I said, the body is a reflection of the mind. So understand that connection. So let us sit straight. Let's close our eyes. I know I spoke a lot. Keep your eyes closed. There is a lot to take, a lot to digest, a lot to comprehend. But this was not a lecture to entertain you all or to keep you engaged for about an hour or so. This was to open your mind, and mine too, for a deeper understanding of the self. My dear young brothers and sisters, you, I, are connected. So take a deep breath as you breathe out. Open your heart. Open your heart to the understanding that the floor beneath you or the chair on which you're sitting, right from there, is an extension of you. The floor, the walls of your home, the roof, the foundations, the earth, the garden around your home, the buildings, and slowly begin to expand that consciousness, that understanding. Perceive the universe as emanating from you. All beings, all people in your lives that you know, that you don't know, all of them come from your consciousness. So expand your heart in that acceptance, in that oneness. The silent rhythms of your pulse, the silent rhythms of your breath as you're breathing in and out, the silent rhythms of your thoughts. Merge these rhythms with the rhythms of the universe. The day and night cycle is a rhythm. The ebb and flow of the waves are a rhythm, like the rhythm of your breath and pulse. The 4 seasons are a rhythm. Rotation of planets around the sun are rhythms. Birth and death of stars and galaxies are rhythms. Every inhalation is a birth. Every exhalation is a transition waiting for the next birth. The whole universe is in this rhythm of inhalation and exhalation. The planet Earth too breathes. And in that great awareness of deep understanding, open your heart to the Sai consciousness of oneness, Advaita, non-duality. There is no other. There is one that appears as the many. And in that understanding, we become one with Sai, one with Shiva, one with the Christ, one with the Buddha, one with the consciousness of the infinite Allah. The father of Abraham. In that consciousness, there is only love, because there is no other. What else will there be? Only love. Let's soak in that love for 5 seconds at least. All right, take a deep breath. And as you breathe out slowly, bring your awareness back into your body. Come back to your body enriched. Gently open your eyes. And we carry that enrichment not just today, but every day of our lives. So I'm hoping the divine guides you and me and all of us into this path of ever expanding consciousness, where self-realization is a journey, and being in the journey will be and should be our destination, because in that journey we connect to each other. We live a more mindful, more enlightened life of peace, love, and oneness.